Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, Geminis, let's go ahead and get you guys a retrograde message tonight. And we'll still get one for Aries as well tonight. Okay. All right. So, let's go ahead and see what do we have here for Gemini retrograde. And I always kind of look at retrograde as, obviously it time has passed, right? Retrograde represents Mercury lapping us because it moves faster on its orbit than Earth does. And so that's why we get Mercury retrograde a couple times a year because of the speed of its orbit. And I look at it more like hands on a clock. The clock hands are never going in reverse. Rather, they're just going around. It kind of looks like it's in reverse at one vantage point, but it always comes, back around to 12. And that represents kind of like the completion of the orbit. And so, sorry. Aries, good boy. Good boy, baby. It represents, we've had a passage of time. We're now a little older, a little wiser. We see things maybe a little differently now. So, what is retrograde bringing back in regards to the topic of love? Hi, Brian. Hi, Ruhita Beauty. Wonderful to see everybody. So, we have the moon. And the moon energy is mystery. It is things that are hidden. It can also be deep intuition. This is a very celebratory moon energy because she's dancing with her wolves and they're howling up a little storm, much like my Aries was doing just now. You did good, big boy. Um, he's got a little attitude tonight. This could be good or this could be bad. The energy on the card is nice, but admittedly, it can be like, I'm still confused. There's still secrets. But we have Six of Wands. Hang on, Geminis. Oh, Gemini. We always have more complicated stories for Geminis. We have a Queen of Cups in the reverse. We have the Page of Wands upright. I'm not... Okay, please don't think that I'm like gloating or something on behalf of Gemini, but there is some kind of an energy where Gemini's feeling pretty good about themselves during this particular retrograde, and they may be feeling good because they got back to themselves. They feel pretty empowered. They feel like maybe they're starting to turn some heads. Gemini may have some sick dance moves too, and they are rocking it, and they could notice that people watch a little bit if they're out, and maybe Gemini's got a great strut. Maybe they're just noticing that subconsciously I'm aware. I feel confident in my own skin. Other people notice it too. And there could be an energy here where it's like, I feel young. I feel footloose and fancy free. I feel empowered. And if that pisses somebody off and makes them jealous, not my problem. And I'm not saying Gemini is gloating about it, but I am saying they may be subconsciously aware. Let the haters hate. Now, right now, this looks like, because we're asking about love, but right now we're just getting a snapshot of what I think Gemini's vibe is right now, which is I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself, as the song goes. We have the Seven of Pentacles upright. This could have been a long time coming for Gemini to finally feel empowered and free and like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. If people don't take the time to get to know me, that's their problem. If I, trigger people, that's their problem also, not mine. And it took me a long time to get here. And I'm going to enjoy what I've created. I'm going to enjoy who I am. And if somebody is jealous over that, talks bad about me, I don't care. Now, okay, I kind of thought we were headed for this, but I didn't want to say it until we got there. If there is somebody out there who maybe really wants Gemini, and they may have even broken it off with the Queen of Cups to try to come toward Gemini, ask Gemini out. Again, Gemini may be aware that somebody's salty over it, and I don't think Gemini cares. I don't think this is to be rude. I'm just kind of wondering if low key it is in Gemini's subconscious. They're like, it's not my problem if somebody doesn't like me. It's also not my problem if they don't like me because somebody else does like me. I'm not saying Gemini is not coming across as like, oh, I, tried to like persuade somebody to come to me and leave somebody else behind. But it does kind of feel like there was some inevitability here. Like this path was set. So there could be a divine masculine who has wanted Gemini for a while. This has been a long, slow road. And to a little extent, Gemini is like, I kind of knew this day would come. So during this retrograde, something could be coming full circle. An awareness that this, we'll say this fellow was attracted to Gemini, and Gemini may have stored it in the back of their mind. And I'm not saying that Gemini was like, ooh, I know they're going to be mine. I know they're going to leave that Queen of Cups and they're going to end up with me. I'm not saying Gemini was rooting for it, but sometimes when you flash on something and it's like, I can't help it, but the die has already been cast, because it's not a shock, is what I'm going to say. It's really not going to be that big of a shock to Gemini, I don't think. Let me go ahead and take a look at whomever this masculine is. Okay, so let's see the Knight of Pentacles. We have a Five of Wands. We have a Three of Swords. Okay, so they may have been quite miserable. They may have been quite sad. They may have been quite lonely for quite a while. They too might have been thinking and thinking and thinking about, like, I got to get myself out of a situation, which means that whole scenario was separate from Gemini. If they were dealing with a Queen of Cups in the reverse, that could have been their karmic. They may have been treated poorly. They may have, here they are like talking to a guy friend about it. And, like friends might have been like, man, that person that you're with is something else. And it's like, yeah, it's I got to figure out what I'm going to do. It may have just been inevitable because Gemini saw the writing on the wall as well. I don't think that this masculine talked to Gemini about it. I just think there's a lot of context clues that come about. There's lots of times we can read. I mean, look, we get the cards that we get. I gave them their whole own deck so that, we had the full 78 cards that could have popped out. And we keep getting negative cards for them. We keep getting, this was the relationship that they had with the Queen of Cups in the reverse was on the skids a long time ago, and then finally culminated in full-blown like collapse. So they're going to be footloose, fancy-free, and single. And certainly, like, nobody owns another person. So if they are interested now in Gemini, and at long last, during this retrograde, what's coming back around is something that Gemini knew somewhere in the back of their mind. I can tell that person's miserable. Maybe I can tell that person would be a better match with me, or maybe I can just tell that there's some subconscious vibe. But you know what? I'm not doing a thing. I'm over here dancing my dance, doing my thing, traveling when I feel like it, living my best life. I am here being my brightest self, my confident self. I'm not asking somebody to come to me. I'm not telling them, oh, that person's bad to you, break up with them and be with me. I feel like Gemini did none of it. They were not involved in this. They were not the reason that this relationship failed. I think that this relationship failed solely because of what was going on with this masculine and the Queen of Cups in the reverse. So that's great. The only thing is Gemini's like, that Queen of Cups in the reverse is not going to be happy that they're moving my way. And that is an awareness as well. Okay, let me shift gears a little bit for them and just say, so things ended with the Tower, with you and the Queen of Cups in the reverse. Tell me about how you feel about Gemini, or them catching your eye, or however this goes. Okay, Page of Swords. In truth, because this can be a spying card, it is possible that they maybe did pay attention to Gemini more than, maybe they should have, before they were really, truly like done with that other connection. I mean, it's possible. It doesn't have to mean that. It could have been after the Tower. I mean, admittedly, this card came out after the Tower. So they may have been broken up with this person and then they started to pay attention to Gemini. Six of Swords. And every day got brighter, and every day they got more glad that they had ended the connection with their karmic. And it was possibly because of Gemini. Like when we have somebody else to think about and we see, I'm not saying that they use Gemini as like, I need somebody else to help me forget. I'm just saying they liked what they saw in Gemini. They liked who Gemini is. They liked the calmness. They liked the truth. They liked the way Gemini behaved. They liked Gemini's hair. They liked Gemini's choice of music or the way they conducted themselves. And it made them happy. And it helped them, seeing Gemini, even spying on Gemini a bit, helped them to move on from the distress of that former connection that they ended, and got them a lot more excited about either starting to pen pal with Gemini, because we got possibly Gemini writing back to them. This might have gotten them saying, I want to reach out to Gemini. Now, this could be somebody Gemini knew from a long time ago. This doesn't have to be someone that Gemini was in like contact with on the day-to-day basis. This could be, there's a lot of social media stuff where we see, old colleagues and friends, people, lots of times our social network is big and extended. That person that we worked with once upon a time, but we've still had, on our Facebook friends list or something for however many years, those types of things. And sometimes over the years, you see the changes in their life, or you see wow, they never post like they look happy together in pictures, or pretty soon they don't post like they're together at all. And pretty soon it's like, okay, it's your birthday, but you're going out by yourself with a lone cupcake. It doesn't look like your partner's with you. So, sometimes you can see, like just a reasonable person can see the devolving connection. And granted, pictures and social media don't tell us everything, but I'm just suggesting that they started paying more attention to Gemini, and it gave them a lot of lightness and brightness. And if Gemini has been aware somewhere in the back of their mind, and even, I don't know, if Gemini posted themselves dancing and stuff like that and looking amazing and kind of knowing this person's watching, because they were. And that could be what the retrograde is also. Like, I've known for a while they're out there keeping tabs. And then sure enough, not only are they out there keeping tabs, but now they're doing something about it. Now they're reaching out. So I do feel like Gemini's going to hear from this person. Zion scamming. Sweet dreams, babe. Sweet dreams. Thank you for hanging with me tonight, honey. We have Judgment upright. Scorpio energy. This is, I'm going to say they're going to be pointing it out. Like, Gemini, I'd like to see you face to face. And that even looks like Gemini looking up going, oh, all right. This is what I'm going to call it reconciliation. I don't know that I think this is somebody that Gemini necessarily had as a romantic partner in the past. It could have been. We haven't really seen that aspect. This almost felt more like, I don't know, somebody on the fringes of one another's lives. But now that we have the reconciliation card, it is possible that these two had a romance. Gemini and this, we'll say they could be an emperor, or excuse me, not an emperor, an Aries, just because of that Tower card. But they are coming in possibly as a Scorpio as well. They want to see Gemini again. And I kind of think, and maybe this is them being a little bit overly romantic, but it does seem like they're going to be coming in, like, I always felt like there was a pull between me and Gemini. I always felt that way, because there is something special. Anytime we see Stonehenge, we know there's like this mysterious quality here. And they may comment on that. Like, I don't know, there's just something about you, Gemini. There was always something about you. Maybe deep down, I kind of always knew I was going to be drawn to you. Gemini's like, I know. It kind of feels like, I'm not saying that this is two people that were like, I'm going to cheat with you one day. It doesn't feel like that at all. But it does feel like there was a subtle, subconscious, I don't know. It's just someday this was going to happen. 9 of Cups is sideways. I kind of think both people are going to be really jazzed to start communicating. And I feel like both people are going to know exactly what this card means. I get it. You knew? Yeah, I get it. I kind of knew too. And maybe that's all they need to say. This seems like a little bit simplified, a little bit like, let's just start talking and see where this thing goes. But Gemini knew for a really long time with that 7 of Pentacles. They also, and the Knight of Pentacles, Gemini always knew this was going to come around somewhere, somehow, someday. What's that song? And somehow I know we'll meet again. And it is. And I think that's why Gemini is not like smugly smiling like, I knew it wouldn't last with you and that other person. There's none of that energy. There's not a gloaty vibe here. But there is a bit of a satisfaction in knowing that the thing that I felt is actually coming to pass. Page of Swords. Gemini might have spied on them once or twice also. That could be the way this is. I don't know. We have got the High Priestess in the reverse. Again, some inner knowledge. We've got the Ace of Swords in the reverse. We've got the Four of Pentacles upright and the Knight of Wands. There is one thing here, and this could be a big red flag on Gemini's side. If Gemini once in a while spied on them a bit and said, what I know is that they're not done and they're having one heck of a time with that person. But I have this suspicion that if I were to reach out to them, they may be somebody who would cheat and come my way. Now, here's the thing. We don't say that about people with no proof of it, right? Even our fictional characters, we don't say that about. But I have to say there is something here. And I guess what I would wonder is, I mean, because this is like, oh, I kind of know. Or maybe there was a vibe once upon a time when we interacted, like they almost would have been willing to, because they were unhappy, to justify why maybe they could step out and maybe try something with me. Ooh, here's what I would say. And I know I don't need to give my unsolicited advice or opinion to a fictional character, but I can't seem to hold my tongue. So I'm going to say it anyway. I would, if I believed that somebody would be willing to find a reason where it's like, hey, I'm unhappy and therefore I can step out. If they would do that when a scenario, they feel justified in, then where else will they find that scenario? Where else? What about when you're with them? Will they then say, well, we had an argument and I felt unloved, so now I'm justified? Yeah, I would just say that's a big old fatty red flag. Aries is like, red flag, red flag. Oh, baby. Aries, honey. I'm sorry, you guys. We have the Empress sideways. You did good, baby. Come on. Come on back, hun. This could be on Gemini's mind. Nothing here has said that Gemini's like, oh, thank goodness, they're finally mine. Actually, what we saw is a single and empowered person saying, I kind of knew this day would come. I knew that they would someday, approach me. This may or may not be anything. Like Gemini might just be saying it could be a red flag. I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. That's something I'm going to be not like baiting them to figure out, but more like, I would be a fool to not say, I'm listening to my instincts. Some things have already presented as the way I thought they were going to go. Now let me just make sure that, I have unfounded fears. It's basically, gosh, I feel awful with this story. It's basically just, I'm not so sure that this would be somebody that I will choose for my long-term partner, nor should Gemini have to. Gemini doesn't know how this situation would go. But not knowing where their level of like boundaries and respect and how they handle things. And of course, how somebody handles things with one person might be different than how they handle things with another person. But it does look like if Gemini has a concern, a worry, or an unfounded belief, and this could be Gemini with an unfounded belief, but it does say if that's a worry, then that is something when you get to know somebody, really get to know them before like giving them access to your heart, before saying, okay, you're now single and you want me. Sure, let's do this. You can have full access to all of me. It just says get to know them well, because there could be a little bit of like, I'm not sure. This is not to vilify this person or cast aspersions on they're probably shady. It's more like get to know somebody well. Get to know the real them so that, and fairly, see how they really operate. But anyway, sorry, that was a little bit of a tough one. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Happy Bubble. Bradley, thank you again for being here. Rahita Beauty. Oh my God, I'm sorry to wake up your baby and make your baby bark too. You guys, thanks for hanging. Always good to see you. Victoria Edwards. Ooh, I better bounce out of here. This video will not finish processing. I'll see you guys in the today's topic next. Julie May, thank you, honey. St. Bridge, thank you, everybody. Great to see you. Bye for right now.